2024 study meeting of the Livonia City Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Honorable Councilwoman Martha Tashnik.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gotta get a flag spreader on that. Yeah. You know?
We should.
We need a flag spreader.
We should get a flag.
I'll get one.
We need two.
Two.
Yeah.
We're just talking, we're getting a flag spreader out here. We just got to figure out how it would look. All right, this meeting sets the agenda for the 2002 regular meeting, which is a voting meeting that will take place on Monday, October 7th, where tonight's items will be officially voted on. I'm not noting we show council, everyone's here. I'm going to jump right into audience communication. We've set aside 30 minutes for items that are not on the agenda. Anybody have any audience communication? Seeing none, I'm going to jump right to council communications. Anything from council? Look at that. That's a first. Seeing none? We're going to jump right into... Sorry. Why did everybody look at Rob? We're going to jump into new business. Item number 1 is a block party from Kristen Levins to be held on Saturday, October 12th, 2024, from 3 to 9 p.m. on Grandin Avenue between Harrison and Brentwood Street. Now, I want to keep in mind, council, that it is almost 9 o'clock, and I think I did see Kristen here at some point. I didn't receive anything, but I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah,
Do
that's
we
fine.
have any motions?
Yeah, let's move it.
Support. I think someone's here. Someone's here.
Is someone here on the item?
Well, he can
Oh,
handle it then.
perfect.
I'm her dad.
Hi, Dad.
I'm pinch hitting.
Well, no. So tell us, I know last year she came in and told us we're doing pretty much the same thing we did
Yes,
last year.
37th annual block party on the corner of Grandin and Harrison. I think Miss Toya joined us one year.
Yep.
Is Mr. Donovic still banned? Or is
He
good this-
can come if he behaves himself.
All right, fair enough. All right. Well, with that,
I'll be his guardian.
Mr. President, I would like to offer an approving for consent. It's a hell of a thing to keep something going for 37 years.
I love it.
That is older than at least one of us. So I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
So the item's on consent. If you want to hang out with us at the next meeting on October 7th, you can. If not, Mr. Donovic, we'll see you on October 12th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Any communication from the audience on this block party? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 2. It's a block party from Heidi Miller to be held on Saturday, October 12th, 2024, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. from 19031 Irving to Clarita Street, with a rain date of Saturday, October 19th, 2024. Good evening.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
So this will be our second block party on this street, and we normally do it in the summer, but we kind of had some date conflicts.
Yeah.
So we decided to kind of move it to October, and we're going to do like a Halloween party with like bonfire, and we're going to get apples and bob for apples and pumpkins and that kind of thing.
That is so cool. Councilman Donovan.
Your friend back there's laughing at you, just so you know.
Why, is there more stuff that we're not hearing? I mean,
We're just nervous. I don't know why.
he's holding my hand.
I would love to see the council president bobbing for apples.
Well,
you can use this as a
I think
Pay to see it.
It's not even an election year either.
I think we were kind of talking to Primos too, and they maybe offered food. So feel
I
free
gotta
to
tell you,
stop
with
by.
as many block parties as we have, we should do something and just crash them.
Maybe have one of those dunk tanks, and we can put him in the dunk tank. And
That's
see
a
what
great
happens.
idea. We did get the grant, so
I was going to mention that. Yeah, it's happy to hear that. I know Councilman Jim Jolly's worked hard on the grant program to make sure that you guys can apply for that. So keep on applying for it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome because
If you do a dunk tank, I'll be there.
okay, we'll look and see how much it is.
And Jim Jolly will sponsor it, I'm sure.
Only if he's got an apple in his mouth. the entire time.
Well, you have our address. So.
All right, fair enough.
Well, Mr. President, I'd like to offer improving on consent. If there's no objection from my colleagues.
You have an approving on consent, so your matter is all but assured to be approved. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight, and have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Thanks.
Anything from the audience on this block party? I see none. Mr. Ida, do you have an issue? Me? Yeah, do you have an issue with this party? I'm messing with you. I'm just making sure everybody's awake.
He might come loiter your block party. Be careful.
All right, moving on to item number 3 is a block party and street barricade This comes to us from Danielle Greason to be held on Thursday, October 31st, 2024, from 5 to 9 p.m. on Emerson Court and Tulip Wood Street from West Chicago to Harrison. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Did I get your name right?
Yes, Danielle
look at
Greason.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. It normally never happens. So tell us a little about what you got going on.
So we're the new sub, Emerson Oaks, right off West Chicago. We still have a lot of construction going on, but our kids still want to trick or treat. So we wanted to use it as our first get together, like a meet and greet in our neighborhood, so the kids can walk in the street, trick or treat. But we also were going to do bonfire, music, apple bobbing.
Oh.
We're going to have the
I'm going to have to run out of
cornhole.
teeth, man.
And we're going to have face painting and donuts and cider.
That's so great. Councilman Jolly.
So I learned in the hallway that she is a member of a Blue Jay family, but you have two Blue
Hey,
Jays
Blue
here.
Jays.
Oh,
I was a
yes.
Blue Jay.
Oriole. I was an
or,
Oriole.
I'm sorry, so he's the Blue Jay.
I was a Blue Jay.
So,
Were you at the Orioles game this past weekend?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was not.
and we
Way to
are,
call me out.
So a little
It was not
plug,
a
though, too.
dignified performance. They did 3 offside kicks in a row.
The Oreos?
Yes.
Come on, Rob.
Our offense didn't have the ball 3 times in a row.
Did we win?
Yes.
The Blue Jays?
No, the Blue Jays did not. It was our first loss. We're 3-1 now.
Listen, you got to be humbled.
Yes. We'll meet them in the playoffs.
In a couple of weeks, though, the Blue Jays and the Falcons are going to be
At the big
facing
house.
off at the big house against one another. So that's we expect to sell it out.
100,000?
All of Livonia will come up for it. And
Yes.
anyways, hey, you know what? Listen, we are not only happy that your neighborhood is there, but we're happy that you're filling it with children and families who are proactive in the community. I'm happy to offer an approving for consent, if there are no objections from my colleagues.
I'll give it to Councilman Donovan. I just am super happy that this is the official first block party in Emerson Oaks. Councilman Donovan.
Yeah, I was just going to note that so often as council, we look at these site plans, and they're just paper, just ink on paper, and you don't really think about the families that will end up coming there and building futures and building those, you know, those nice dreams and stories that you're going to think about for the rest of your lives. And it's really nice to see someone. We just approved that plan a couple years ago. I live next door. I know Council President McCullough lived in the community, that neighborhood, for a long time. So it's nice to see that field was just some grass with mosquitoes, and now it's families making joyful memories and dressing up and having a great time. So that's awesome to see it all come back for fruition. I know the Solvay family worked hard on that project, and it's nice to see you here in person. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. We love it so far.
It's so funny. That used to be Wilson School, and we used to go in there right when the asphalt was brand new and play street hockey. It's just funny, it's the times, but it's so great to see, like Councilman Donovan say, you know, now we've got family, and that's the city families first. So super happy you're doing this. And Councilman Jolly said he'll do the dunk tank on that for Emerson Oaks. So he's going to be in his Falcons uniform too. But your matter
It's
is
a pinata. I'll be the human.
Councilman Donovan can wear his Oreos jersey too. So, but your
I'll
matter
hold
is
the
all
bat.
but assured to be approved. It's on consent. Have a great time there, and we'll see you next year for year 2.
Yes, and we're hoping to get 37 years in as well.
There we go. Thank you. Anybody, any concerns from the 2 people in the audience? Seeing none? All right. Moving on to item number 4 is a request to accept grant funding. This comes to us from the Office of the City Clerk to accept grant funding on behalf of the Election Commission from the Institute for Responsive Government, a nonpartisan organization. Madam Clerk, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So usually I don't have very many items that come before you, so it's unusual for me to present to you, but I just wanted to give you a history about the grant funding. Administering and funding elections is obviously very expensive. This year we had the presidential primary, the August primary, and now the November. So costs are astronomical. It's not out of the question for departments to apply for grant funding. Earlier this year, we applied for grant funding from the state of Michigan to purchase our early voting equipment, and we were successful and got all of our equipment paid for by the state of Michigan. We also received $9,660 in supplies paid for by the state of Michigan and $8,700 in wage reimbursement. That was all the first round of state of Michigan funding. We then applied for round 2, which was offered in April, and we were awarded $34,567. Part of that, again, $8,700 is for wage reimbursement, and that's to fund the people who must be present the 9 days and oversee the early voting site. In June, we were allowed to submit to the state of Michigan reimbursement expenses for the presidential primary. So that was submitted, and it was approved for the total of $188,000 that the state will be reimbursing us for the presidential. That will be coming to us by the end of October. And so then this grant became available. So one of the many changes in election laws is that we are now allowed to go out and request funding from something other than the state of Michigan. This is a nonpartisan group. They're not political. I was informed about this from the State Bureau of Elections, so they put it out on their website and said, here's a grant that is available. I applied for the grant funding, and within 2 days was notified that we were approved, and we were approved for the maximum dollar amount that was allowable for a community our size. So the dollar value is $60,000. Those funds are good to be used from June 1st of this year through the end of May next year. And there were 4 components that went into it. So the funds can only be used for human expenses, physical expenses, technological expenses, and security expenses. This year, we have been doing a lot of security training leading up to this election, and we do have a tabletop coming up in October that we are offering to all of our chair people, all of our election personnel, and it will be offered to all elected officials to participate. So this will help offset some of that training that we're doing to gear up for November, but also all the additional personnel that we will need to have at every precinct. We will have a greeter to help monitor security and to make sure the flow of traffic is in and out and no one's wandering through the schools on election day. So I'm bringing this to you for approval so that we can accept the funding of $60,000.
I mean, it's a tough question, right? No, great job. I'll go to council. Councilwoman Vizinski?
Yeah, grant dollars are always great, so I'll motion to approve on the consent unless
So we've got
there's
an approval for
objection.
consent, which
Great.
honestly, I could tell you, great work. I mean, anytime we can get free money on grants,
Yes.
keep it up.
apply.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vice President.
Awesome.
Thank you. I just actually had a quick comment on this, and I don't think the residents realize how much more expensive elections have gotten in the last few years,
Yes.
especially with the early voting, the expanded absentee voting, all the things that have gone into place that are mandated by the state, and we have no choice but to do them. And so, city clerks have to be almost creative
Yes.
in figuring out ways to fund this. So, do you have a specific target that this 60,000 is going to go for, or?
A good chunk of it will be for security. One of the things that we did in August is we piloted having everyone wear a red vest. So if there was an emergency in a precinct, our law enforcement or fire personnel would be able to identify who the workers are versus the voters. They were not of great quality. They tore, they ripped, and so they are basically disposable. So we're investing in something different for November so that security, whether they're at the counting board, early voting, or at a precinct, they'll be easily identifiable. So that's a big chunk of it. And then also our absentee ballots. This is the first time we've exceeded over 23,000 going out in our first mailing alone. So the cost of printing all of that, as well as the postage, we have to pay for postage outgoing and postage for return. So that is huge this year. The value of the postage is unbelievable.
Astronomical.
And not to stump for you or start a commercial, but you still need poll workers if anyone's interested,
Always,
right?
we always need poll workers.
And how would they, if someone wanted to participate, how would they?
The application is on our website under the Vote Livonia page.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk and Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything else from council?
So-
Oh,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
to the clerk, so how much money do you think the increase is now with the laws and all the nuances that you're facing?
It's close to double the cost of each
Double?
election. Wow. Close to. Because we also now can pre-process absentee ballots, which is what we did in August, and we will do that again in November. So
Yes.
again, you have to pay an extra day, 8 hours a day, how many ever people are doing the pre-processing.
Do you find that more people, because no reason absentee want to vote by absentee? Are you
Yes.
finding that rather than going to the polls?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because it's a presidential year.
Sure.
Our overseas and military ballots
Yes.
exceeded 170 this year. We've never had that number.
Awesome.
So people all over the world are interested in voting in their president.
I bet
So
you
it's a
they
great
are.
thing.
I bet you they are.
It's a great thing.
Yep,
They're all
for
voting.
sure. That's great. Just don't let them come through the border. No, anyhow.
Amen.
Well, we got you up for something on that one. Anything else from council? Audience? All right. Well, that was on consent.
Yes.
Cool. All right, moving on to item number 5 is a request to authorize appropriation expenditure to sole source provider. This comes to us from Livonia Fire and Rescue for the emergency repair of Fire Engine 3 engine failure from budgeted funds. Sounds like a party. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, council members and honored guests. It's not in my nature to be brief when I speak, but the hour is late, so I will do just that. In early August, one of the fire trucks in our fleet suffered a mechanical failure. The truck in question is a 2016 Pierce fire engine. The mechanical failure, essentially the engine needed to be rebuilt. And for the motorheads in the audience, of 2, it's an 8.9 liter Cummins diesel, inline 6, 1,200 foot-pounds, 400 horse. It's a beauty. But the cost to rebuild this engine is $31,658.21. And while that sounds expensive, if you'll allow me to put that in context, January of this year, I priced out what a new fire engine cost. And that was $897,000 and some odd. And each year the price seems to go up. And additionally, there's a 48-month lead time.
Yeah.
So to expend approximately 3% of the cost of replacement from budgeted funds, we expect to get at least 4 more years. And then this truck would, at a bare minimum, be moved into reserve status. So I think that is a fair use of
Absolutely.
budget money.
Councilman Morgan.
Yes, I'd like to offer approving on consent.
We've been approving on consent. I just have one question on it. Obviously, this is needed, but is your turnaround enough time? I mean, honestly, $31,000 when we're dealing with people's lives and our public safety. I was going to say if there's a cost to expedite it to make sure you can pop this in the reserve. I just wanted to make sure you exhausted that as well.
Oh, no. The crew at Cummins Diesel of Dearborn, they've assured us a quick turnaround on this.
Okay.
So,
Well, let us know if you need anything else that's a priority, at least, I'm not speaking for colleagues, but I'm sure it is a huge point. So you have an approving on consent. Anybody from the audience have any issues? Seeing none, we'll get this. We'll even ask the mayor for a non-veto so you guys can jump right on it.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Moving on to item number 6 is a request for council approval on a proposed lot split. This comes to us from the Department of Assessment for the property located south of 8 Mile Road, west of Merriman, in the north quarter section 3, 20100 Osmus, and to waive the lot depth to width ratio for both proposed parcels A and B. Mr. Termina.
Thank you. This was a split that you reviewed a few months back. This diagram that's on display right now is what the split looked like when you reviewed it a couple of months ago. The petitioner agreed to take this back to the surveyor and reconfigure the split. The split you're looking at here is the current proposal. It splits this 2.4 acre parcel into 2 equal parts, each of which are about 82 feet in width by 630 feet. Because of that depth, it exceeds one of the standards, the lot width to depth ratio. And there's the reason this is before you. You can see how it complies with the lots directly to the south. So it is consistent with the pattern of lots in the area.
Thank you, Mr. Termina. Councilman Donovan.
Thanks, Mr. President. Mr. Termina, I know I did some research about this lot to depth width ratio, and it's something that's a state law. It's meant more for your rural communities, and it goes real deep into the weeds. These 2 lots are going to be RUF. They're going to remain RUF. They're going to be 83 feet wide. The RUF minimum is 75 feet wide, They're demoing the existing house. The existing house, you can't even walk inside of it. If you walk inside of it, you might fall through it. So this is a great advantage, clean up a blighted house and creating 2 new parcels. So without anything other than that, I know the petition is here this evening, but it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to offer an approving on consent if there's no objection from my colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman Donovic. We have an approving for consent. Any issues from council? Yes, Vice President.
And I agree with everything Mr. Donovic just said. I just had one quick question if the petitioner's here. I know there was just wanted to know if there was still a plan for the drainage. I remember that we had talked about drainage on this one.
Joey, I'm here for Leo Silva. We haven't sat down and discussed it with engineering yet,
Okay,
but whatever it takes.
okay, that's all I wanted to make sure we had that covered. Thank you.
Approving on consent. Anything else from council? Seeing none. Anything from the audience? Seeing none. That concludes the study agenda. Is there any audience communication?
Oh, you got one more.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
Seven.
Mr. Zelinski.
Saving the best for last.
All right. Item number 7 is award of contract. Comes to us from the engineering department for the 2024 rear yard drainage improvements on Fairway Drive in Section 20. From budgeted funds, take it away.
Thank you, Council President and council members. As you know, we try to work together with our residents to solve drainage issues in the backyards, as our community is fairly old, almost 75 years next year. So our engineering department has worked to provide plans in-house to go out for bids. We're recommending Superior Excavating to enhance 2 locations, one on Fairway Drive in Section 20, which will enhance 10 homes, and 6 homes in Puritan Avenue in Section 14 in the amount of $173,440. Alternate 2, just looking for your approval, and then our goal is to start construction and complete that by early November, and appreciate your help to, again, solve some of these drainage issues that keep coming back constantly, and working together with our residents to make it happen.
I love it. Really fast before I get the motion, I got to tell you, your video is awesome. I know, honestly, the transparency, it's brilliant. Good work.
It's all the communications specialists up there with the drone.
I got nervous when I seen you over there. I was like, man, that's that guy that's on TV.
Turned out nice.
Council, do I have a motion? Councilwoman Budzinski.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward and a solid timeline, so I'll put a motion to approve on consent if there's no objection.
All right, we've got a consent. Is that good for council?
Awesome.
Good for the audience? All right, that concludes the study agenda. I'm going to go back to the audience. Any communication? Seeing none. Council? Councilwoman Toy, take us home.
Motion to adjourn.
Good night, Livonia.